This is a primetime local news update.
I'm Jasmine King, and this is a primetime local news update. The Saskatchewan government announced they have 14 new cases of COVID-19 in the province, bringing the total to 220. There's 3 people currently in hospital due to the virus. 12 more people have recovered from COVID-19 in Saskatchewan, bringing the provincial total to 48. Ontario is forecasting that between 3,000 and 15,000 people in the province will die due to COVID-19 with the current health measures in place. Without any public health measures, the worst-case modeling forecasts up to 100,000 deaths. The Ontario government says with the current physical distancing measures in place that 1,600 people will die from the virus by April 30th. Without any measures, 6,000 people could have been dead by the end of the month. Manufacturing giant 3M says the White House requested it cease exports of U.S.-made N95 face masks to Canada. The statement comes hours after U.S. President Donald Trump invoked the Defense Production Act, requiring companies to prioritize the production of masks and ventilators to fight the spread of COVID-19. 3M, in response, said this activity is unethical and illegal. They are working with the U.S. Attorney General and Attorneys Generals of every state, making it clear that 3M has not and will not raise prices for respirators and offering their assistance in the fight. We will be providing the latest updates from the city and both provinces on our Facebook page. That's it for today's Daily News Update.
So I'm joined here with the President and CEO of Lakeland College. It's great to have you with me. And so I just want to start talking a little bit about, obviously you guys have had to make some changes like a lot of other organizations in the country. And so just start off by talking a little bit, all classes are online, am I correct?
Yes, all classes are online using a D2L platform or other creative platforms to ensure that our students can finish off this academic year. So when sometimes for the classrooms, in terms of our practicums, we have virtual practicums for our human services programs. We have some video type projects for some of the other programs, our animal health technology programs. There were some things that they need to do with their animals, so they did some really awesome experiences that were alternative to in-person experiences, but they got them done.
And so how hard was it for you guys to have to kind of transition everything to an online setting?
Well, of course, some of our programs have already had a blended approach. Others have been online. So for those, it was a very easy transition. For the other areas that have student-managed experiences, it was a little more difficult. For instance, our beef day sale went ahead online, so that's pretty exciting for the students, and that was something that's a student managed event that we ensure that the students have those experiences. So to go online for that, there were some technical issues that had to be overcome, but I'll tell you what, kudos to our IT department. They've just been absolutely amazing.
That's awesome. And so I just wanted to talk a bit about the campuses. Are campuses still open, or is it like restricted access?
The campuses are closed to public. We continue to have operations happen at the institution. For instance, we have everything on essential services now. So we are taking care of our animals, we're taking care of the buildings, and we're taking care of, we still have some students in residence, so we are ensuring the safety of their, and taking care of their needs as well.
And you said there's still some students in residence. I think, is it just kind of people that didn't have maybe anywhere else really to go, maybe international students, or those who are still in residence?
For sure, there's some international students that can't go home, so they are utilizing Lakeland College as their home for right now. And I believe there's a couple of students that may have had some difficulty finding a place to go. So we're home for them right now until further notice.
And I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I know that there's a lot of kind of virtual tours that you guys have online, so maybe someone's interested in learning a bit about Lakeland, they still can do that during this kind of unprecedented time.
Absolutely, Jace. And you know, the other piece of it is that we're trying to create as much normalcy as we can. September's looming ahead of us, and we want to ensure that our college is up and running as much as we can in the fall to make sure that no student is going to be left behind when they want to do some academics. So Lakeland College will be open for business. We, of course, adhere to all health, Alberta health services, their guidelines and their protocol. So we will follow all that while we are trying to create some normalcy towards the fall.
And I understand, unfortunately, you guys had to postpone the 2020 convocation.
We have, and we are right now figuring out how we're going to set up the convocation. I am because I don't want those students, their year was always already disrupted in some way with having to do some of their online courses, which they hadn't really planned. So I want to make sure that they have that celebration that they need to have. So we will probably do a back-to-back convocation next year so that they have that opportunity to be in person and have the grad parties that they had hoped to have in either May in Lloyd or in June in Vermilion. So we'll make sure that they have that experience.
That's awesome.
All right, I'm very pleased to be joined with two ladies from St. Mary's Elementary School here in Lloydminster, Lori-Ann Betton and Zoe Hine, both principal and vice principal. So ladies, first off, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Well, we're glad that we're able to get together on this format. So it's exciting.
Absolutely. So Lori-Ann, let's start with you. What exactly is happening this Sunday? Of course, it is Palm Sunday. So what is St. Mary's School doing?
Well, what we're going to do is just yet another way to share our faith with our families that we can't be together to share it, is that we have several 400 actually small crosses made out of palms that we will be putting out in our back field along the chain link fence. So we're going to head out there on Sunday morning, which is Palm Sunday, as our own special way and our own special prayers, and put these crosses out, and then inviting our families to come after 9 o'clock or so on their walks or on their drive-abouts, keeping in mind that we don't want them all to gather, keep the social distancing and less than groups of 10, but inviting them to take a cross, a palm cross, as they have their own little traditions, our own little stories that they want to share starting Holy Week on Palm Sunday. So just as another great way to share our faith, and that they're not here because we can't give them out today. So we really want to connect with our families with the crosses on Palm Sunday.
Absolutely. And Zoe, how important is it for an event like this to happen now, especially during these difficult times, especially during a pandemic that we're going through?
Absolutely. It is so important because our kids know how important Holy Week is for us, and it's something that they look forward to every year. So what our crosses look like is this. So we have our palms about this big, and we're going to be very careful to make sure that we spread them out at least 6 feet apart. So as Mrs. Benton commented before, we don't want large groups coming out, and we'll make sure that they're spaced out. So as you go on your walk, this is for your family, and you can carry on from there. We were just truly inspired by all the online learning that our teachers have put out there for our kids. And we want to make sure that we can keep our faith connection and have our kids join in as we pray together the next week too.
I guess one of you can jump in on this subject here. I know schools have started to do some learning from home as of April 1st. How has that process been going at St. Mary's?
It's actually been really quite amazing. Mrs. Benton and I do virtual tours all the time with our students and with our teachers. Our biggest platform is Google Classroom, which works really great, especially for our grade 2 to our grade 7s that we have here. And our classrooms are all running together, so the kids are meeting together, they're putting in their Zoom, focusing mostly on their reading and their math and a little bit of fun, and of course a lot of faith at St. Mary's.
And Lori-Ann, just as a reminder again, when does this event take place? I know it's at St. Mary's, but just again, just reiterate some times and location as well.
Anytime after 9 o'clock on Sunday morning. If you wanted to come by, again, it's at the far end of our field. That's right along the road there, that easy to park and easy to get out and walk. So anytime after 9 in the morning on Sunday.
All right. Well, I thank you both, Lorianne and Zoe, for joining me here this morning. I know this is a very difficult time. I know we obviously can't be face to face and be with each other on this very special day on Sunday, but I do encourage many families to go out and do social distancing through Palm Sunday with the crosses that are going to be placed at the school. So thank you both again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm pleased to be joined today by Alberta Ag Minister Devin Dreeshen. Thank you for taking the time with me today. And now you just recently had a conference call with producers across the province. Can you tell me a little bit about what was discussed on that call?
Sure. It was actually a really good call. We had nearly 400 people on the call, and it was just an overall general update on what the province of Alberta was doing during this COVID pandemic, how we were trying to do everything we could to make sure that Albertans were safe during this time, and how we can try to flatten out the spread so that we do not overwhelm our healthcare system. And then it went into specifics about agriculture and forestry and the steps that we were taking as a province, and really a plea to the industry to say that we want to know as soon as possible if unforeseen issues arise, so that we can do whatever we can as a government to be able to make sure that things like our food supply chain remain viable and intact.
And were there any concerns brought forward by farmers about COVID-19 and the impact that it could have on their industry?
Well, a lot of them, they expressed gratitude, the fact that we as a provincial government listed our food supply chain and agriculture as an essential service. At the time, we had asked for the federal government to also declare it. They hadn't at the time of the call, but we just learned today that the federal government has finally announced that our food network, our food system here in Canada is actually an essential service. So that was a big topic that came up time and again during the call.
And the federal government has just announced that they will be moving forward with the carbon tax increase. I know there's some concern on the Saskatchewan side of the border. Is there any concern here in Alberta as well about that increase?
Of course there is. It's something that we as the province of Alberta, we continue to fight the carbon tax in the court. We here in the province had our Alberta Court of Appeal have a 4-1 ruling against the federal carbon tax. It ruled that it was unconstitutional, and something that we are continuing this fight at the Supreme Court as well. So something that overall, the fact that the carbon tax went up is obviously bad for our industry and for Albertans, but we are also challenging it. We'll continue to challenge it in the Supreme Court on its constitutional basis.
Another concern that producers are having is seeding. Obviously, that is coming up, even if the weather isn't quite showing it. So is there anything that you've been hearing from producers as it comes to seed and getting those deliveries of seed in with everything that is going on? And is there anything that the government is doing to try and help?
Well, it was -20 today, but eventually it is going to warm up. But the fact that we did declare all of agriculture as an essential service, that includes inputs, machinery, our fertilizer plants, distribution. So everything that goes along with agriculture, and it has such a broad, wide, sweeping effect to the economy, all of those aspects are included in the essential service. So they are allowed to continue to operate as normal. But when it comes to our supply chains, we are doing everything that we can to make sure that they continue to operate. And an example is the fact that our U.S.-Canada border remains open, so that the 14-day trucking exemption, where if you have a trucker going across the border, they don't have to self-isolate for 14 days, that exemption is still in place. And there are other measures that we want to make sure that normal trade within our agriculture sector remains, so that farmers, well, even ranchers right now, when it comes to calving, that they have access to vets and to medication, but also when it comes to vaccines, but also when it comes to our grain farmers that for seeding, that they'll have the inputs and the parts that they need to get through a successful seeding season.
All right. Thank you for coming on today and taking the time to speak with me.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Take care.
All right. You too. Thank you.
Of course, we did mention, off the top, you are from Ontario, you're Canadian. Have you had a chance to chat with your family about how things are going out down there, and have they been concerned about your health overall being down in kind of the heartland of where everything all began?
Yeah, my family and I, we have a pretty good relationship. They were concerned, but they also like trust my judgment. The concerns more so came from a couple of friends of mine, especially one who works in journalism. Like because he was getting all the news about it, and he said, when Canada gave me the opportunity to fly back to Canada, he's like, "Oh man, you got to take it." And I was like, and I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? At the end of the day, that's not a priority for me, and for health reasons and other reasons. So they really wanted me to come back, and they thought that that was the only solution. And yeah, so I've definitely had people concerned for me.
Do you have any regrets, I guess, staying in China, or are you happy with the decision that you made to stay there?
I'm happy with the decision I made to stay here, and at the time, uh, like I was the deadline really was about the flight departure, right? I had to decide by the flight departure. And I decided around that time because right around that time, the World Health Organization declared an international emergency. And also, China had locked down all of its people. So I figured, okay, if I'm going to be anywhere with an epidemic, China's probably the right place to be because we've been dealing with this now for it was about 3 weeks or so at the time. I knew I hoped international aid would be coming in because of the World Health Organization declaring it an international emergency. So I thought if this virus is going to spread, right now this is the best place to be. And it turned out that's exactly what happened. So here we are, April 8th. We'll be able to go outside again. And unfortunately, I don't think any other area in the world is taking that is allowed to go back yet to leave their homes. Correct me.
And I guess just lastly, generally speaking, how are you feeling? Are you feeling okay? You're feeling healthy and all good on that on your end there?
Yeah, very fortunate. I'm healthy physically. We've been able to go around the community complex. So I've been doing some runs. I think I've done about 5 different runs in the last week and a half or so. And also mentally. But again, it's the collective things. It's like, I think China, like if I could send a message to the world, is that I think China's done a remarkable job of taking care of me. Having that job, being able to get paid, doing work, which also fills my time. Isolating us so then we are decreasing the speed of the virus and the spread of the virus. China's had to make some very difficult decisions, and it's obviously going to have an international effect on the economy. But I'm very happy with the way things have been handled, and I'm very fortunate to be here right now.
Well, Mark, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for chatting with me and enlightening us of what your situation is down there. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your time.
Today I'm joined here with Becca from the SPCA. Normally we're in the studio with a furry friend, but unfortunately today we are over Skype. But since the COVID-19 has kind of taken over the entire world and people are shutting down their businesses and, preventing the spread any further, what has the SPCA kind of been doing to combat that and to try to participate in the prevention of COVID-19?
Yeah, like we're just, we're kind of staying on top of our cleaning and extra cleaning now as well too, like making sure we're getting door handles and even door frames, the bars of the kennels, like we're making sure that we're disinfecting everything. And then we're just really limiting people, like one kind of person from each household sort of thing in at a time. And we're setting those appointments that they're about an hour, half hour, depending on the situation, apart, just so we can, keep that cross-contamination at a minimum.
And I've been seeing you guys posting on Facebook, and you're still doing fairly well with adoption. So how are your numbers been since the outbreak and since having to make those changes to limit the amount of people coming and going?
Yeah, like we've actually been doing really well. I think obviously with people staying in the house, like not venturing out or anything, we're really not seeing much for that stray incoming animal, which is fine, thankfully, I mean, other than today and yesterday, kind of been cold, but it has been warming up. So that's kind of nice to not have to worry about that. And then, but yeah, like we know we're able to catch up on our spay neuters right now. So we're as of tomorrow we'll be fully caught up, that's a nice feeling. And then we are calling from our waiting list as well too. So kind of handling that the same, we're setting those appointments for that. And then if they're not comfortable coming in, then obviously we'll just save it for another day, when things calm down a little bit more. But yeah, otherwise it hasn't been terrible. So that's kind of been nice since we have had to cut down on staff per day as well too. So it's been nice. And then even sending animals out to foster, so that's just one less animal really to have to clean up after in the day.
Now, what is the process, because you guys have been doing adoptions and you have been, people have been coming in to adopt, what is the process like and what do people have to do if they're thinking about adopting during this time?
So really, we just kind of ask those extra couple questions like, is this animal still going to fit in your life after, this quarantine's over? I think a lot of people right now, they have time on their hands, so they are thinking about it a little bit more. So yeah, that's really one of the questions that we do ask, like if and when life goes back to normal, is this animal still going to fit into your routine and you're still going to be able to give this proper care? So obviously we're asking that a little bit more of the dog end of things too, because yes, you may have a lot of time for that animal right now, but we want to make sure that animal still has that time when everything goes back to normal.
And really quickly, if anybody has any questions regarding adoptions or your guys' new policies during the COVID-19, where can they get a hold of you, or where can they go?
Yeah, they can call us. Like we're still here from like the morning to clean, and then until 5 every day, up until Saturday, and then Sunday is just our deep clean day still as well. But we're available through our Facebook page as well, and our phone number is 780-875-2809. And you can also email us. Like we have our main email on our Facebook page as well too. So we do have all of those channels that you can call, and if you have any concerns or questions, like that's definitely where you can get a hold of us here at the shelter.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking time out to chat with me. Just a little update on how the SPCA is going. It's great that you're still getting adoptions. I've been checking back on your adoption posts that you make every week, and it's awesome to see even in this time, people are still willing to bring in a furry friend for them to have as well. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Joining me today is head coach of the Lakeland College Rustlers women's soccer team, Leith Matlick. And Leith, thanks for taking this time during all the chaos.
Thank you so much, Evan. I'm happy to be here.
Now, Leith, obviously, futsal didn't go the way anybody wanted it to with it being shut down. But now, how has your focus really turned from focusing on futsal now to this upcoming season?
For sure. I already had 3 or 4 girls coming out to that futsal tournament that were recruits for the following year, for this coming summer, for this coming fall. So, I'm already ahead of the game in recruiting players for next season. I'm already at about 20 players, so I'm excited for these players to come in. I really hope nothing changes their mind about what's going on right now, but I'm super excited for this upcoming season in the fall, especially compared to last season, coming in with no time and barely getting enough players to get on. Now with lots of time and, feeling very comfortable and positive going into the fall.
For sure, and especially as a first-year coach, first-year college head coach as well, that must have been tough, especially having only 3 returning girls from the season before. What was that like? And, just break down, I guess, your first year as the head coach for me.
For sure, it was extremely tough. You know what I mean? I've been in the CCAA for about 10 years now. I played 4 years. I assistant coached 4 years. This is my first year as a head coach. Now my second year coming up, and so I know the league very well, but it was very tough. Especially only having 3 returning players, recruiting 15 girls in a month, pretty much was it was a very tough thing to do, and I still think our record was, it didn't show who we are really, because I feel like the work we put in and what we got to where we got to in the season, we ended up very strong. I felt like playing very good soccer. Just the results just didn't go our way sometimes, and I feel like that's what you get with a bunch of first years. You know, like you lose composure at the end of games and slip up and lose those tight games. But super excited that I'm gonna have I don't know how many second years coming back, right? 15 second years, 12 second years coming back. So definitely change the game.
And it will hopefully will definitely change your guys' 2-9-1 record, which was just 3 wins short of playoffs. One thing you guys did do very well with in recruiting was getting strikers. 3 of your strikers had 6 or more goals this season.
100%. Again, 2-9-1, and we were 3 wins from playoffs, and we lost Concordia. In the last minute, they beat us. They scored 2 goals in like the 90th minute to beat us. We lost to Grand Prairie. We drew Grand Prairie 3-3, and again, we were up 3-1. And it's like, if we held on to those wins, oh man, like I was telling the girls, we were right there. But again, I feel like it comes down to that first year, like, you know, jitters, not strong composure and stuff like that. And then again, those strikers, like I was a striker when I played too, so that's really my specialty in coaching and like helping these players. And yeah, they did very well. I was very impressed with them, you know, scoring that many goals in that first year. That's impressive. That's an accomplishment.
Well, Laith, I appreciate you taking this time, and best of luck with the rest of your off season.
Well, thank you so much, Evan. I appreciate the call, and I hope I'll talk with you soon.